Welcome to the Franchise Woman podcast, where passion and purpose collide, profits are made, and relationships forged. I'm Rebecca Monet, CEO and Chief Scientist at Zoracle Profiles. I'm here along with my co host, community advocate, speaker, author, and entrepreneur, Tracy Kawa. Tracy, we have a very special guest today, Nichole Daher. In the bustling streets of entrepreneurship, where passion, purpose, and profit intersect, one name stands out, and that, of course, is Nichole Daher. As a visionary founder of the Success on the Spectrum, Nichole embarked on a transformative journey fueled by her unwavering dedication to make a difference in the lives of individuals on the autism spectrum. Nichole's story begins with a deeply personal connection to autism. Raising a stepdaughter on the spectrum, she witnessed firsthand the challenges and triumphs unique to individuals with autism. This ignited a passion within her to create more access to care for children who need it the most. Armed with a mother's determination and fueled by her passion, Nichole set out to create something extraordinary, a business that not only generated profit, but also made a profound impact on society. Thus, Success on the Spectrum was born, a complete autism treatment center that provides ABA therapy, speech therapy, and occupational therapy to children with autism. Welcome to the show, Nichole.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here.
Wow, wow, wow. All of that is so impressive. Talk about where passion and purpose collide, right, Rebecca?
I know I was thinking the exact same thing. This is like a perfect person for our show.
Exactly. So, Nicole, tell us where it began. Did you always have this drive for entrepreneurship?
I have to give credit where credit is due. Both of my parents were business owners, and they instilled that decision making ability and crisis manageability in me from the very beginning. My mother has a heart of gold, and my father is a rebel. And I guess those perfect clash of DNA happens, and here we are disturbing the industry and creating new things.
Wow.
So, it's interesting. I see a lot of entrepreneurs, and there seems to be this common thread that you just mentioned, that they're problem solvers, right? That they see something that isn't quite right or that is uncomfortable for people, and they come up with some kind of a solution. And so it sounds like your parents provided that kind of background for you. So at what point, however, Nichole, did we go from growing up with two entrepreneurial parents who taught you crisis management, who taught you how to problem solve? At what point did it go to now I'm going to be an entrepreneur?
Well, I graduated in nuclear medicine, and I was working at the hospitals doing diagnostic imaging, thinking my career path was going there, right? Then I got married, and my stepdaughter was 4 years old. She had severe autism. She couldn't talk. She was fecal smearing. She wouldn't make eye contact, lining up her toys. It was very obvious what her diagnosis was. And she was diagnosed very young, which is a good thing. And she went to ABA therapy here in Houston, Texas, and it rocked our world. She learned how to talk. She made eye contact. She tried new foods. She potty trained. It was incredible. I mean, it saved her in a sense. She gained all this independence from that, and it was wonderful. But at 7 years old, they kicked her out, and they said, oh, excuse me, they graduated her, which was like the nicest way possible of saying get out, right? And it made me angry. I'm like, she still has autism. She still needs help. She's not there yet. Don't force her to go to the Texas public school system. Lord help us. Please, we need a little bit more of this. She needs more time. And I found that a lot of ABA therapy places only go up to age 6. And it was a problem that I felt needed to be solved. And I searched high and low for places for her to go. And the few places that did accept kids over 6 years old had a wait list a mile long.
Wow.
And it woke up the mama bear in me. I was angry. I was like, what, this kid, it's a baby, she needs help. Why can't I find help for this child? And it just angered me enough to do something about it, I guess.
Wow. Nichole, I'm thinking that I have a stepson, and people are always saying to me, like, oh, wow, he's so lucky to have you. And I feel like, no, I'm the blessed one. But seeing all of this in you, right, outside of myself, it's giving me some perspective. And like this mama bear waking up in you, like it sounds like your daughter didn't have to be your biological daughter. Like, what was it really that triggered you? Because if it wasn't about that biological, right, that biological tie, what was it deep down inside that triggered you about this?
I mean, maternal instinct to me, and again, my mother has a heart of gold, so I guess she passed that on to me. Maternal instinct has nothing to do with physically birthing a child.
Mhm.
I immediately felt very protective of her and felt as if she was one of my own.
Yeah.
Um, and to this day, I mean, she's my kid. I don't even like to use the word stepdaughter.
Yeah.
She's my child, and I raised her like that, and she looks up to, do we have that connection? But when it came to the business, helping other children was just as satisfying as helping my own. I mean, it's injustice in the world that has to be fixed.
Right.
If I saw a kid on the side of the road being starved to death, I surely would rescue them, kidnap them, whatever you want to call it, and feed this child. If there's an injustice that's happening to a child, I can't help it. I have to step in. We have to fix the problem.
Wow.
So it kind of goes along with that thought of the mama bear was there. It didn't matter if this was a child that you birthed. You got her as a package deal with your husband, and she's your daughter no matter how. But then you went from mama bear to that's Tracy used the word earlier, advocate, right? You went to every child needs someone to advocate for them and handle these what you perceived as an injustice that these children weren't getting the care that would really benefit them and society if we stepped up and filled in that gap. So, what was there a pivotal point, Nichole, where you said, I'm going to take the bull by the horn and I'm going to do this?
Of course, there was. I mean, when I was searching for a new ABA therapy place for her, I visited a dozen of different centers that turned me away for one reason or the other. But there was one particular woman who was extremely rude about it and said, she'll never get approved.
Oh,
She's too old. And I'm like, oh, yeah, watch this. And here I'm going to become your competitor now. Watch me help my kid and other kids. So yeah, it was a little bit of an angry choice to start the business, I think. But not there are more mamas than me that are looking for this service, but not everybody has the ability, the know-how, the ambition, whatever you want to call it, to actually go out and start the business. I think fear holds a lot of women back, the fear of the unknown. I don't know how to do this. And thankfully, I just did not have that fear in me. And I'm like, I'm just going to Google this until it exists. And I'm going to make this happen. And I'm going to read every book I can find. And I'm going to ask everybody I know questions. And so SOS was born. It created it out of nothing, and it has changed and grown into a monster that I never intended. It kind of had a life of its own after I started it, but it really is what I hope, making a difference in the world, not just in my little pocket of Houston, Texas, but we want to go nationwide with this.
wow. Sounds like you're making a tremendous difference in the world, one that will have ripple effects. I feel like the question I have is a little crazy. Does everybody know that their child is autistic? Because I know there's a spectrum. Are there people that are like, oh, my child's a little quirky, but they don't realize that they're actually on the spectrum?
That's a fabulous question. And I'll wrap it in with an observation that most people tell me is there are more autistic kids now than there used to be.
Right.
But I don't know if that's entirely true. I think all of these kids were around and being misdiagnosed as the weirdo or quirky if they were high functioning, or they were misdiagnosed as mentally retarded if they were severe, or they were misdiagnosed as ADD or ADHD if they had the inability to make eye contact or focus on a task. Now I think we have better awareness. I think this newer wave of doctors were taught in medical school about autism, and so the newer, younger generation of doctors are diagnosing better. And there are more celebrities coming out with children with autism that help the general public to be more aware of what autism really looks like. So I think, yes, there are still people who have undiagnosed kids, um, because it's, the high functioning kids are the ones that slip through the cracks, the ones that can get by without the help but struggle. Those are the ones who may be the quirky ones that don't get diagnosed properly or at least early enough. But nowadays I think diagnosing is much better,
Mm.
and the awareness of the treatment is a little better. And I hope to spread more awareness, of course, because some people still have kids with autism and don't realize how good ABA can be for their kids.
Right.
Um, but just knowing that your child has autism, just getting the diagnosis is a huge step in the right direction to get them the help that they need.
Indeed, it is. I know there are more. My daughter is a special ed teacher and also ran 3 preschools. And one of her jobs is to go into homes before the child goes to preschool and do some diagnostic work so that child gets what he or she needs as early as possible. So I know there are programs now that are doing a better job um, cutting things off at the pass, so to speak, before we're 6 or 7, and we're getting in much, much earlier. So this is just a fascinating topic to me, especially this idea of help past age 6 or 7. What is it that we can do after age 6 or 7 that makes that much difference? And why did so many companies decide just to stop at 6 or 7?
A lot of health insurances, which pay for the ABA therapy, had a big push in the past to transition children into school. And because of, obviously, if you force the school system to pay for a special needs program, then the health insurance isn't responsible for paying anymore. But that since has changed. There was this huge study done by United Optum, and they looked at kids who received ABA therapy very intense, very early on in age versus the ones that didn't. And the results were astonishing in that the kids that got intense, very expensive ABA therapy all the way until they were 6, 7, 8 years old had millions of dollars of less lifetime health expenses than the ones that never got the therapy. And this therapy is $10,000 a month. I mean, it's very expensive. And you're thinking, why would insurance want to pay for this? And, as if you don't get the therapy and your diet is not right because you never want to eat anything except, cheese, Ritz crackers, and that's all you'll ever eat, you're going to have health problems down the line. If you get sick and you can't communicate that something is happening to your body and you don't catch this illness until it's really far gone, that's hospital visits, that's surgeries, that's chemotherapy, all of these things that add up across a lifetime, assisted living because you're not able to live on your own, on and on and on. And so nowadays, especially since Obama did all these changes to the healthcare system, it is very obvious that insurance companies are much more willing to pay for older children because it does eventually, or in the long run, save them much more money that way. So things are getting better on both ends. The reimbursement's getting better, the awareness is getting better, and it's colliding to really help children gain the skills that they need to live in the world independently.
That's amazing. It sounds like there was so much short-sightedness, but I guess as people learn more
Yeah.
And there are
You
more
don't, you
long-term
don't know.
studies.
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
You don't know what you don't know, and but companies are very concerned with money and why would we pay for this? And since that discovery's happened, it changed things.
Yeah. It's sad that it does boil down to money, right? The savings and future health cost and care. But what do they say? Money makes the world go round. I believe it's love that makes the world go around. So you addressed an issue with care past 6 or 7 by bringing in this love element. I'm an angry bear and I'm going to make some changes here, but you were still required to work within a framework, part of which you are big that you're influencing to change through education, through programs, etc. It reminds me, and this is just a little story, many years ago, there was a gentleman that worked in the bank, clearly on the spectrum. He was polite, he was thorough, he took good care of me. You could see he was concentrating to look at me in the eye and to ask the right questions. And I thought, this young man has been blessed with some kind of whatever mentoring, coaching, therapy, whatever he had, that here he is in the banking business and he's being successful. And like you said, independent. And isn't that what we all want? We want to be independent individuals in society.
That's exactly right. As a parent, my end goal for my child was not for her to grow up to be a doctor or a lawyer or a rocket scientist. I want her to have a job and to be able to pay her own rent and to take care of herself and have her own family one day and feel like she has purpose, to be proud of herself. And autism, I felt, took it away from her, and ABA therapy gave it back. And there was lots of hard work on her part, lots of hard work on the parents' part, lots of work that was done by the medical providers. But when it all comes together, we can give these kids their lives back and they can be happy. That's all I want. I just want her to be happy.
That's beautiful. I'd like to focus back on you for a minute. What do you think are some of the qualities, the driving qualities, and maybe the deep skills that you have that have allowed you to bring forth this purpose, and to create what you've created in the world and to create the space for wellness, for mental wellness, well-being, health?
I think being a business person requires good decision making skills. And because both of my parents had their own businesses and I was forced into child labor since I was like 15, working for my mother in her tanning salon and her fitness gym and doing paperwork for my father in the back office, as most children of business owners have to do. That instilled in me very good decision making capability and a little bit of crisis management experience from a young age. And that's the thing that scares people the most. Not everybody can be a leader. Some people are just born to be followers, and there's nothing wrong with that. But if you do have that leading personality, finding a business or any venture that combines the profit and the purpose together makes you really proud of yourself. It's the pride that comes with helping other people is worth more than the profit that I could ever make from the business. If I made no money at all, I would still want to do this and still be happy that I did this. And so being able to make both is such a powerful combination.
I wished everyone could feel what you feel right now, to know that you are living a life on purpose. There's a reason to get up every morning and put out the energy that you have for these children And young adults, honestly, because you're seeing them up until what, 18? Is that where you're working with them?
All the way up till 18. That's right.
It's amazing. I mean, can you imagine catching that kind of passion? What's really bizarre to me is how you bumped into it. Um,
Bumped into me.
God's got a plan.
yeah.
It's so true. And I do have a good story about this. My child is older now. She doesn't need ABA therapy. She's in high school. She's doing great. And I'm like, why am I still doing this? Right. We were filming a commercial a couple of weeks ago, and we have this little girl that's been coming to my center for quite some time. When you film a commercial, you want to get the most severe child on film. You want people to feel that emotion, right? You want to see the child flapping, rocking back and forth. You want the most severe version of whatever you can capture on film. And while we were filming this commercial, we were talking to her, and the technician was talking to the marketing director, and she was directing her on what to do and where to put the lights. And the child looked up and said, "Can I have the ball?" It was her first words, and we caught the ball on
Oh my
video.
goodness.
The bad part about it was that we all simultaneously screamed, "Ah!" And we startled the kid, and I was like, "Oh, I hope this doesn't deter her from talking again." But we were so excited, and we were jumping up and down and high-fiving each other. And then the technician started crying, and I started crying, and we took the video and we showed the mom in the waiting room, and she started crying. We were all crying. I'm like, this is why I continue to do this, even though my daughter doesn't need it anymore. It's because that feeling of helping my own kid just keeps coming back when I help everyone else, and it's beautiful.
What a milestone. That's incredible.
Beautiful.
And not just one word, just a whole sentence. I want the, you know,
A whole
About the,
sentence, yeah.
about the
Can I
ball.
have the ball? That's a whole sentence. That's not just a, utterance.
she was 6 or 7, so she had been holding in that sentence for 7 years, and finally she got frustrated and no, give me that ball.
Good for her. So, Nichole, when you look at the future of autism care and of the franchise that you've created, and that may be two different questions, but I'm sure they also work in tandem. What is the future of autism care?
As of right now, the demand for autism treatment severely outweighs the supply. In fact, only 33% of the demand is met, which means that 60 something percent of all kids that need the autism treatment don't have access to it, either because there's nothing near them or because there's waiting lists. So, one of my goals is to expand the franchise because this problem is bigger than just me. Enlist other angry mama bears, enlist other entrepreneurs that have decision making capability to open more clinics nationwide. And so far, we have done that. We do have 60 sold territories and 34 open and running locations across 12 states as of today. And that has helped over 400 families by our last count, and that's amazing. And I'm so proud of that. But twofold to this, I have discovered, because 80% of our franchisees, our CEOs that sign on with us, are autism mamas. And so not only are we providing care for the children, but we're also helping families gain financial stability, letting a special needs parent that would normally have to stay at home and just care for their child, giving them the ability to have a career and take care of their kids at the same time. We're allowing these families to take control of their own lives, secure the therapy for their own kids, but help other kids at the same time. So it's the clinic, the consumers get the help, and then the owners themselves are given opportunity as well. And it seems to be just the perfect combination of everything all the way around. It's been so good. We've had so much support, and we're growing steadily, and it makes me proud.
Wow. So win, win, win.
Mhm.
I love the awareness that you're bringing about. What are some of the areas that still need to be revealed to the public? What are some of the concerns? Some things that you wish more mama bears would know?
Mm-hmm.
There is a little bit of, haters online that say that ABA is bad. And I think there is the possibility of a bad medical provider, of course. There are bad doctors, there are good doctors, there's bad ABA, and there's good ABA. Most of ABA clinics that exist today are owned by private equity groups, and parents don't know this. So the people making the decisions for this clinic are what I dramatically imagine to be like a bunch of fat, bald white dudes sitting around a conference room table reading quarterly financial reports. They have a kid that comes in that's aggressive, let's say, and he's 12 years old. He's big and he's wrecking the place because he's angry. He can't communicate. He's frustrated. He throws a desk against the wall. And when they show the problem to these investors, the equity groups, they say, well, this kid is costing us money. He needs more support. So he may need more staffing and cost us even more money. Now we're replacing the toys that he's breaking. Kick him out, bring another kid in, and our profitability is more steady.
Wow.
And the decisions are made based on their finances. They have a obligation to bring returns to their investors, right? But when you have the franchise model, and these franchises are individually owned, usually by autism parents, or at least people that have the passion for the kids.
Yeah.
Then those decisions are, this is the kid that needs it the most. We're never kicking him out. We're going to buy him whatever we need. We're going to pad this room. It's going to cost us money, but he's going to get better. And I think the quality difference that you get, typical in the industry as well, is one behavior analyst will have 30 or 40 kids on their caseload, which means that if they don't take lunch breaks and if they don't go to the bathroom and if they weren't late in traffic for whatever reason, they can maybe see every kid 1 hour a week. And to me, that's not good enough. How can you write a medical procedure for a child that you only see 1 hour a week? So with our clinic, with the franchise, we're able to create rules for the franchisees to follow. And we say a max of 12 kids per behavior analyst, low caseloads, still very profitable, but also you're going to see this kid 5 hours a week instead of 1. And it makes a huge difference in the care that your child is given. So there are differences. Parents do need to know, just because one person screwed up doesn't mean every clinic is going to be bad. And also know that your child does not have to go to school. I think there's this preconception that normal kids go to school and I want my kid to be normal. They have to go to school. They don't. And you don't want them to go to school until they're ready. A child that has aggression, a child that doesn't talk, is going to be sat in the corner and left behind while the other kids are learning their lesson, because the teacher doesn't know how to interact with a child that can't communicate in that way. But we do. So leave your child in ABA therapy for as long as it takes for them to be ready to learn in that other environment. Keep them where they're accepted, where they belong, where they're able to learn and focus. And the goal is to transition them into school when they're ready, but that doesn't have to be at 6 years old.
No.
It's going to have to be when they're mentally ready, not when they're physically aged at a certain time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they deal with, as you pointed out, all the other issues if they're integrated too quickly and they're not prepared. All the other issues of being rejected, misunderstood, not included, feeling bullied. And those are not things we want them to go through. Can, I'm assuming, slow down their progress at the same time. Can you address, I love the 3 initiatives that you have. Can you address the parents' role in all of this? Are we training the parents to do some of these things at home with their little ones? How does that all work?
Fantastic question. Yes. The child will make nearly double the progress if the parents are on board and learning with them. And parenthood, my mom used to say, you didn't come with an instruction manual. It's kind of what it is. And we don't have the instruction manual for everything, but we do know quite a bit and we help parents learn. So whenever a technician is teaching a child something within our center, we also teach the parent how we're teaching that kid how to do this, so that not only the child is learning the color blue here, but when they go home, the mom also mentions the color blue in the same way. And when you are learning consistently across several different environments,
Mm-hmm.
the rate of progress is increased, and that is very, very helpful. And we also, when a child is getting ready to transition into that mainstream school, we offer teacher training as well, so that the support continues even after they've left us. So this is important. We need all hands on deck, as goes with my nautical theme, all hands on deck to help a kid sail through the storms of autism. I have puns all day long, nautical puns. But it's important. We all need to band together to help the babies.
Love that. Love that. And now furthering that, taking that out to society, the public, like what initiatives, what lobbying, what is being done to create awareness on like a huger scale within communities or nationwide?
I think there are a couple celebrities out there that have been affected by autism that tell their stories. There are more cinematic films and movies out there that show that autism is not just the severe flapping kids, but also the very high functioning, quirky, awkward kids. That all helps. Hollywood helps probably more than
Wow.
anything else that you or I could ever do, because they have such a wide reach. But it's going to take a bunch of angry mama bears screaming at the top of their lungs to really get everyone's attention. And I think that that is coming shortly.
I
Yeah.
think so too. I think you're very prophetic in that. I think the way we do school is going to change, how we parent is going to change, how we treat folks is going to change, and you're on the edge of all of that. So, and I know there are some great support groups also, right? For mama bears to come together. And it's amazing how when you get mama bears together, how that creates this advocacy for not just their child, but other children at the same time. So back to the personal, all of this is personal, but back to the personal. If there was something that would prevent this better future from happening, a stumbling block, something that we have to overcome, what would that be?
The biggest hurdle that a child has to getting the treatment that they need is the parent's own denial
Mm-hmm.
or shame or fear. Um, it's harsh, but some parents allow their own feelings to get in the way of their children getting help. And not to make this a gender charged conversation, but in my experience, when a couple finds out that their child has autism, it is oftentimes found that the mother is like, okay, what do we do?
Yep.
Give me a solution. And the dad's like, he's fine, he'll grow out of it. Or I don't want him to go to an autism center because if he's around autistic kids, he's going to act like an autistic kid. So if I put him in a school with normal kids, he's going to act like a normal kid. And this is completely wrong thinking and totally against everything that psychology teaches us about autism. And so there's a few parents that we also see, the mama bears, that also get in their own way when they say, I want to keep my baby at home. I want to protect them. I don't want them to go to a clinic. I want the ABA therapy in my house. And it is scientifically proven that children learn language from their peers, not from their parents. And this is why children of immigrants don't have accents, but their parents do. They learn their language from their peers, and you have to get them in an environment where they are exposed to play and eye contact and being around other children, keeping them safe at home is too restrictive to allow them to learn what they need to learn. And so my only caution is take your feelings out of it and do what is best for the child, whether it scares you or not.
Such great
Boom,
point.
mic drop, right?
Yeah, such great points. So if a mom or dad is listening to this and they're thinking, maybe I want to look into this, or maybe I want to get my child some help, or maybe even I want to create, an SOS in my community, how do they get in touch with you?
If you would like to enroll your child in ABA therapy, just Google someone that is near you and ask questions. Our website is successonthespectrum.com, and we do have a parent guide that helps you know the difference between good ABA therapy and bad ABA therapy. You don't have to come to me, but get anything that you can that is good quality for your child. If there's nothing around you and you want to shake it up and create it the way that I did, you can visit sosfranchising.com. And that's the website that we offer that you can read information about starting your own SOS clinic. If you join the franchise, you pay us a royalty fee in exchange for unlimited support. And we teach you everything that you need to know to run and own a successful SOS autism treatment center.
Yeah, bring it to your own city.
Yes.
You've addressed so many things, everything from, initially the ignorance around this topic and how slowly we're becoming more knowledgeable and the lack of support and even our own denial as parents to address these things and how all those things are starting to come about. And then the financial part just kind of blew me away that we're not giving these children help because the insurance companies are dictating what they want to spend or not spend. So you've really, really opened my eyes to things I was not aware of. So I'm so grateful you've been outspoken, that you are a mad mama bear, and that you're gathering a bunch of mad mama bears around you. And you are now a true advocate for some voices that haven't been heard the way they need to be heard, including the beautiful story you told of the little girl that says, give me the ball, or I want that ball, or whatever. You're hearing it and the cry that they need for help. So thank you so much for sharing this story, Nichole. We really appreciate you.
I thank you very much for the outlet so that more people can know. If you're doing good work, keep on doing it.
Absolutely. Tracy, do you want to do a wrap up?
Oh,
I
there's,
know. I'm thinking the same.
there's so
Oh,
much, there's so much to say about what you're doing, but just the fact that like when you take that angry mama bear, right, and that's stemming from this injustice, and then you're tying it together with all the research that you've done, all of the education, and you're taking that education to the public, and then you're enrolling more mama bears. I mean, just the impact that you're having through your heart, your intelligence, your passion and your purpose again, like our show where passion and purpose collide. I think that if you look up that intersection, they would have a picture of you there, right? At the intersection of where passion and purpose collide. So just thank you for the awareness. And, even someone like me who thinks that they know a certain amount about autism and the spectrum, I just learned so much myself. So I would love for everybody to hear this show and listen and see how they can contribute in some way because I think everybody can. So thank you.
Thank you, Tracy, and thank you, Miss Rebecca, for having me.
yes, it was delightful. And to those of you listening in today to the Franchise Woman podcast, where passion and purpose collide, profits are made, and relationships forged, make sure to share this, like it, comment, and then, of course, we're going to see you next week for another interview. So see you next week.